We did it! We did it, everybody! We did it! It's incredible! It's the best feeling! Marcus Brown is a Don! This ridiculous plan has worked! Oh my gosh! I'm so happy! Hold on, I gotta clean the screen a little bit with my AFC Wimbledon jumper. Oh, we did it! 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 It's ridiculous! It's so great! Marcus Brown! Oh, wow. Oh, it's incredible. This is the silliest thing I've ever been a part of. But I'm very grateful to all of you for making this possible, all the members, all the super chatters, and everybody else. This is very, very funny and really, really great. And as much as I just thought it was kind of like a ridiculous and wonderful bit, I have to say yesterday when I was talking to Marcus, I was like, actually, this is kind of a lovely thing. Here's a guy who has been out of football. It's been very difficult for him. He described it as tedious and scary and tough. You know, having to get up and train every morning and not knowing whether or not he was going to ever play professional football again. He struggled with injuries over the years, and for him to have this opportunity to play professional football again is really special for him, and is really exciting for him. So yeah, it's just incredible, man. And he is, you know, a really class player. He was with last year, he was with Oxford United when they got promoted from the third tier of English football to the second tier of English football. And all the Oxford fans have been in comments all morning telling us how great he is. So pretty great. Also, Alicia, thank you for gifting 5 John Green memberships. I just love the idea that he's going to be our player for the rest of the season, and that Nerdfighteria is going to get to root for him. Isabella says, so proud to have contributed to this in some small way. And John Robert O'Malley, Legend of Gifting, says, we did it. Oh, yeah, somebody make a Marcus emote. Absolutely. Please send it to me at sparkslayup@gmail.com. I would make my own emotes, but I'm incompetent, wildly incompetent. Electro Joy says, done. All right, let me see if I can get it at sparkslayup@gmail.com real quick and add it to the list. Oh, nice. Yes. Gia already made the emotes. All right, hold on. I'm gonna add them to the emote list right now. This is so great. This just makes me so happy. I don't know if it makes everybody else as happy as it makes me, but it makes me incredibly happy. I'm very grateful to all of you for your ridiculous support of this beautiful thing. All right, so I go to earn, I go to memberships, I go to customize default perks, and I go to emojis. All right. Okay, so I'm going to add this emoji, the Marcus emoji. So I do have some bad news in addition to all. I've added the Marcus emoji, and now I'm adding the DFTBA Shorts emoji. Save and publish. So those should be available now. The Marcus emoji is under Marcus, and the Shorts emoji is under Shorts. Oh, it's the file must be smaller, Gia. It's max 1 megabyte, but that's okay. We'll just cancel that one for now and save and publish, so we at least have the Marcus emoji up. All right. So, by the way, Neek, and thanks for gifting a membership. Maeve, thanks for becoming a member. Yeah, so I think we have a Marcus emoji now. Though, yeah, the bad news. Thank you for reminding me. The bad news is that Marcus, because he's been out of football for the last 3 months, he's actually not in FIFA. So we can't sign him for our save. We have to sign somebody who's going to be like him. I tried to create a Marcus, a central attacking midfielder just like Marcus, and build our team around him. But unfortunately, you can't create a player midway through a save. So Amy Jo says, we did not forget to be awesome. We have a guy and a comeback story. Welcome, Marcus. It's true. It's a beautiful comeback story. Yeah, so it's pretty great. Look at there's the Marcus. There's the Marcus emoji. Look at our man. That's beautiful. I hope he I think he's I think he's probably training today, so probably unavailable to come to the stream. But I'm really happy for him. He was like, when I talked to him yesterday, I was like, I'm sure this all this media stuff is overwhelming, and he was like, it definitely is. I just want to be out on the field playing. And so now he is probably just out on the field playing. I don't get the feeling that he's even though he's a former Twitch streamer, I don't get the feeling that he's particularly familiar with Nerdfighteria, but we'll get him there. We'll get him there. Yeah. So it's just a Marcus jerseys for all, Amy Jo Green says. How do we get FIFA to put him in? I don't think it's I mean, FIFA is so broken, guys. Like, that video game is so bad now. Like, it's just kind of gotten more and more broken over the years. Like, I think FIFA 18 was the last time that the career mode had updates that worked. So I don't think we're going to convince FIFA to do that. But yeah. Should I watch the YouTube video this or the live stream? Oh, go watch the YouTube video for sure. The YouTube video is just me in a state of absolute unadulterated joy. I don't know what his number is yet. I think he has a number, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, so I'm just utterly thrilled with this, and very grateful to all of you. Okay, Gia just sent through another one. So now I'm going to update the emojis, so we have the shorts as well. We have the shorts emojis. Add another emoji, shorts. And then I'm going to upload this one and save and publish. Did that work? There seems to be an issue. Well, I don't like it when there's an issue. I don't know why that isn't working. We'll figure it out later. Anyway, I'm very excited and extremely grateful to all of you. It was 18 in the Wimbledon video. There you go, Stephanie. He's number 18. Good old number 18. What can we say about the number 18? It is not prime, but it's only divisible by 2. In that sense, it's almost prime, right? No, it's also divisible by 3. 3 times 6 is 18. It's also divisible by 6 because 6 times 3 is 18. It's actually quite divisible now that I think about it. It's divisible by almost everything. Yeah, not my best work. 18 is just a good number. Let's be happy. Yeah, we got to think of a good chant for Marcus, and spread the word to the Wimbledon fans out on the terraces. They are delighted and really excited. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks anyway. I hope that y'all are excited and understand how grateful I am for this opportunity to be able to do something like this. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Gustavo says, John, I know, Gustavo, it's pretty exciting. Oh, it's also on my birthday, Joelle says. Happy birthday. Oh man. Oh man. Jen just linked to his Wikipedia page if you're curious to learn more about Marcus. John, have you watched Ted Lasso? I have. I definitely have. I've watched all 3 seasons of Ted Lasso. Very grateful to Ted Lasso for making Americans understand the promotion and relegation nature of English football. I have to start signing soon. But great question. So Master Megabyte says, I'm out of the loop. What are we celebrating here? So Master Megabyte, for the last several months, our little community here of at most around 1,100 people has raised money through super chats and gifted memberships, like the 5 gifted memberships that Kai just made. And all of that money went to AFC Wimbledon's playing budget. And they announced today that they have signed a player with our money. Half of it came from Sarah and me. There was some matching funds involved, but they have signed a player with our money, and that player is named Marcus Brown, and he is a real life professional footballer who is now going to play for AFC Wimbledon for at least the rest of the season. And that happened because of our ridiculous thing. So AFC Wimbledon is a fan-owned football club in the 4th tier of English football. And let me see what the comments are on this video. Oh, lots of people are concerned about the fact that I said no more cardboard boxes in the back. I've never watched a Wimbledon game and honestly never plan to because it's just not my jam, but yay. Lucas Leiva, such a surprise. The Brazilian Scouser has a special place in my heart as well. Maybe I should change the title to I acquired a professional footballer so people don't think I actually bought a person. Is that confusing? Hey, Kerfuffle just became a VP of Wimbly Womblying. He's only signed for half a year right now, but I mean, look, the truth is, if we're being honest, Marcus is too good for AFC Wimbledon. So I think if we get promoted, I mean, that's a big if, but like I think if we got promoted, we could probably sign him again. But this is very common in 4th tier English football to sign somebody for a season or half a season. Yeah, so I didn't think of it as I bought a person. I thought of it as I bought a player, you know, like, yeah. I mean, I said I instead of we because I wanted it to be clickbaity, but I don't want it to be clickbaity to the worst thing that humans ever did to each other. So yeah, I can't wait to see you in Plano and Houston. Kerfuffle, I'm excited to be in Plano and Houston. Plano is the only place of the entire tour that isn't sold out. So if you want a ticket to the Everything is Tuberculosis tour, you have to go to Plano. That's yeah. Sponsored a player would be a good descriptor, but we didn't sponsor him. We bought him. Like that is the correct phrasing in the world of football. I just don't want it to be awkward. Drywin just gifted 10 John Green memberships. I paid for. All right, paid for. I'm changing the title right now. Wait, I don't know if I can change the title because will that result in the end of the stream when I log on to as Vlogbrothers? I don't think so. I think the stream is still happening. So edit video. I paid for a professional football player. That way nobody will think that way nobody I don't want the vibes to be weird. I want the vibes to be joyous and overwhelming. Claire just gifted 5 John Green memberships. There's hardly anybody who's not a member at this point with all these gifted memberships. Adam, congratulations on your gifted membership. Yeah. Yeah, in football, you buy and sell people all the time, and it never occurred to me because it's like you're buying the rights, the contractual rights to them and everything. John, my husband and I are seeing you in DC. I know you find cemeteries interesting. Have you ever visited Arlington National Cemetery? I have several times actually. I really, it's very moving to be in Arlington National Cemetery, and I don't know that I'll have a chance to on this particular visit because it is very, very brief. But where will the funds go now? Asks Spigot TV. So listen, Spigot, the truth is that I imagined that the funds would continue at about the same rate for the entire year. And that is why we were able to make this purchase. So the funds will continue to pay for Marcus is the answer. So yeah. Thank you, Maya M. Sum. Let me see if I can get that name right. Mayim Sum. Maybe Mayim Sum for the gifted memberships. Yeah, and thank you to everybody. And everybody can now use their Marcus emotes who just got memberships. I went to a great cemetery in Boston where Mary Baker Eddy is buried with my friend M.T. Anderson, the author of Octavian Nothing, one of the greatest YA books ever written. And we had a great visit. I really enjoyed walking around with him and learning from him about that cemetery. Visiting a cemetery with a cemetery enthusiast is one of the underrated joys of being alive. Yeah. Eaten by a Gru says, we took out a loan from John to buy a player. That is, I think, probably the most accurate way to describe it. I mean, we've been doing this for 4 or 5 months since September. So a fair amount of the money has already come in through the bank. But yeah, we definitely have a ways to go before we've fully before you fully paid back the loan for Marcus. When is Marcus's first game? Hopefully this weekend on Saturday. Now, I don't know about Marcus's fitness level because he's been out of football. Like, he hasn't been playing professionally for the last 3 months. All the Oxford United fans, which was his last team, are really excited for him and for us, and say like he's just levels above League Two and he's going to be incredible for us, which is great to hear. And it makes sense. I mean, last year he was a third tier player who played in every game when he was fit, and he was not just a third tier player; he was like a third tier player on one of the best third tier teams. So it makes sense that he would be really good. He's a central attacking midfielder, so he can chip in some goals, but he's also a very creative playmaker type of player. So, yeah, so we'll be able to see him on Saturday if you have Don's TV, if you're a hardcore Wimbledon fan like myself, or you can see him in London in Plough Lane. When do I get to see him play? Tori asks. I get to see him play hopefully this Saturday, but in real life in a couple of weeks when I go to see AFC Wimbledon. Yeah. There you go. Is he like Alexis McAllister at all? Yeah, we'll say he's an Alexis McAllister, P. That's what we'll say. We'll say he's an Alexis McAllister. Is he a small bottom big or a big bottom small? Great question. I think he's more of a big bottom small. I don't think he's, I didn't get the feeling that he's a huge man, but I'd have to see him play to be sure. What's the best way to watch Don's games as an American who doesn't have cable or sports channels or anything? Well, YYZ, I'm glad that you asked. You don't need cable or sports channels or anything. All you need is a subscription to Don's TV at afcwimbledon.co.uk. It's not free, but if you like AFC Wimbledon, as I do, it's the best investment you'll ever make. I think it's like $5 per game or a certain amount per season. But it's, get one game and see if you like it. Why is my hair so gray? I'd like to think that's the lighting, but I'm worried that it's actually, oh my God. Just the other day I was visiting with somebody and they, not impolitely said, why do you think your hair's gone so gray in the last year? And I said, I think stress, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive. And yeah, we're going to say it's the lighting. Leone says it's the lighting, and I trust Leone. And Chris says there's nothing wrong with being a silver fox, but I don't really think of myself that way. I think of myself as like a 47-year-old down in Indianapolis. And I think most people also think of me that way. But yeah, the last year has been pretty stressful for me. I had a rough mental health period, all that jazz. So maybe that's it. Oh my God. I'm kind of having an existential crisis, but if you're going to have a midlife crisis, I feel like signing an AFC Wimbledon player is a pretty good way to do it. Astromelia says I started graying at 25, so it can always happen. Should I dye my hair is a question. Like, should I? Because I think I could probably, I have a good hairdresser. I think I could probably get it done in a nice, subtle way. Athen Vixen says, well, I can buy memberships, but not receive one. Haha. Yeah, I don't know how receiving memberships works. There is a way to sign up for it that Jen knows, but I don't know how it works. Yeah. Jerry also has been graying at the age of 46. And maybe it's just time of life, Jerry. Maybe it's just where we're at. Oh, yeah. Jen just talked about how to opt in to get memberships if you haven't already. Thanks for sharing that, Jen. You have to enable gifts, but it's not easy. Denise says we're getting old, John, which is true. Can we vote via P4A donations on a hair color for you? Yeah, I mean, look, for the record, Rachel, my hair color would be my old hair color, right? Like, I went back and watched the video 11 or 12 years ago when we announced that we were going to be sponsoring AFC Wimbledon when I was making this video. And like, I think my face looks pretty similar. Like, my face looked a little thinner because I was thinner, and like my face doesn't look that different, but like my hair is like a different person's hair 11 years later. Maeve says, I'm so excited to see you in Boulder. I just started my PhD in physiology here, so book meetup about TB is right up my alley. That's awesome. Thanks for coming. I'm excited to see you, and it should be a really fun show in Boulder. I haven't been to Boulder. I mean, I haven't been on book tour in 7 or 8 years, but I haven't been to Boulder in even longer. So, yeah, so it would be like brownish. But I mean, maybe I just have to accept that this is reality, because I feel like people who dye their hair when they get older, it often looks off to me. And I don't know. It doesn't look, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I just got a text message. Um, yeah. Each gray hair is a memory lost, says Master Megabyte just now. All right. YYZ will also be in Boulder, which is exciting. The hair color helps me age the Vlogbrothers thumbnails, says Master. That's hilarious. Yeah, I guess that's true. And then like Hank's like really different hair at post chemo is definitely a shocker. Like you can definitely tell. I mean, you can tell when chemo happened because Hank went bald, but you can also tell like what's post chemo Hank and pre chemo Hank, partly by vibes, partly by hair. Griet says grays are free highlights. Yeah, I think Hank's hair looks really good. I think there might have been other ways to achieve the look without having to go through cancer treatment. But yeah, it's still so surreal to me that like last year Hank had cancer. I guess now it was like a year and a half ago, but it was still recent. Like, I mean, Hank and I talk about this on the most recent episode of the pod, but like Hank is in the peak time now when if he were to have a recurrence, it would occur now, probably, most likely, between 1 and 2 years. And how weird that is. Like I had 100,000 sheets of paper um, up in my basement, all outside of a box. And I was looking at 100,000 sheets of paper all at once. And the chances that you'll get Hodgkin lymphoma in any given year are about 2 sheets out of those 100,000 sheets of paper. This is just to try to help y'all imagine. Like you saw me sign all those sheets. Eventually I had 100,000. And the chances you'll get Hodgkin lymphoma are about 2 sheets out of those 100,000 sheets. And the chances that Hank will have a recurrence, it's very low, right? Like almost everybody who is successfully treated for Hodgkin is cured and doesn't have a recurrence. But about 10% of people do, or maybe even a little more, like 11%. So that's 2 sheets was the chance that he would get Hodgkin lymphoma at all. The chances that he'd have a recurrence, like everybody's like, oh, you have a 90% chance of being fine, like you have a 88% chance of being fine, whatever, like that's really high, but are like 10,000 of paper, right? Like it's the difference between 2 sheets of paper to get it and 10,000 sheets of paper to have a recurrence. So I absolutely understand why he's anxious about it. I'm anxious about it too. It's just like totally human. Um, and yeah, it's really quite present. It's hard not to have it be present, especially for him, but also for everybody who cares about him. YYZ says you're more likely to get lymphoma than an orange signature. Crazy. That's true. That's exactly. You're twice as likely to get Hodgkin lymphoma signature, and I think you have like an 8 or 10 out of 100 or 6 out of 100,000 chance of getting lymphoma overall, like between Hodgkin. And so then you're like 6 times as likely. But it is, you know, it's just a weird thing. And like we had somebody when Hank first got sick, we had somebody email us and say like, I had Hodgkin lymphoma 23 years ago. I found out I had it in April, just like you did, and I was better by September, and now I remember it as a really weird summer. And like that's the hope, is that we'll remember it as a really weird summer, but you just never know. I'm literally listening to this on my way to stats class. Well, at least you're not at stats class. That's right. I mean, the truth is he has a very low chance of recurrence, but like still, I think it's human to worry about it. And yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but seeing 100,000 sheets of paper has helped me, has helped organize the way that I understand the world. And like has helped me understand, like, because you see these stats over and over again. 2 people out of every 100,000 get ALS every year, or 17. Like the one for tuberculosis is in the U.S. I think is like 17 per 100,000 people get tuberculosis every year or something. And then you see 100,000 sheets of paper and you pull out 17 and you think like, well, that's not that many, but 1,000 or 1,200 people out of every 100,000 get tuberculosis every year in say, or 1,000 or 1,200 people have active tuberculosis right now out of every 100,000 people in, say, Sierra Leone, or even in certain parts of the Philippines. And then you think about 1,000 sheets of paper as opposed to 17, and it's very different. So, yeah. Why not come to Phoenix, Arizona with how big we are? Sherry, Cherry, Ange, Jade, I'm very sorry. I also didn't go to Chicago, which is very big. I also didn't go to Los Angeles, which is very big. The truth is, we only, because of family stuff, I only had 2 weeks then I could tour. And also, like, I'm a little worried about my physical and mental ability to withstand 16 airplane flights in 14 days. And adding another week to the tour, while it would have meant that we could go to Phoenix and Los Angeles and Chicago and other Minneapolis, other places, it just felt like too much. So I'm kind of in a weird place with this book, and I should start signing it now. But I'm kind of in a weird place with this book because, as Scott says, bus tour. If I'd been on a bus tour, it would have been different. But bus tours are very expensive, weirdly. Any plans for new post-signing streams on this channel? Yes, absolutely. Once I'm done signing this UK edition of Everything is Tuberculosis, which, as you can see here, is a completely different type of paper from the American edition, and it has the title on it and everything, which is kind of cool. Anyway, this is a big stack. That's right. I would have loved to go on a bus tour. I vastly prefer bus tours, but bus tours are extremely expensive. And, the thought was that fewer people would want to go to a book tour about tuberculosis. Now, that turns out not to have really been the case. It turns out that the interest was way beyond what I expected. But at any rate, I'm doing a plane tour, which is cheaper and slightly less carbon intensive. And it might be a wash, but I think it's slightly less carbon intensive. And I'm doing a plane tour, and those are kind of harder on my brain for whatever reason. I think because I have to be in so many planes. Are you planning to film and release any of your appearances? Thank you for the question, Jennifer, and thank you for being a member. Yes, so we'll be live streaming. We'll be live streaming a bunch of the shows. So even if you can't go, you can still enjoy the conversation and the signing vibes over live stream. I'll probably live stream them both here and on Blog Brothers, depending. Like, I'll try to live stream I don't know if I can live stream everyone, but a lot of them here. And then we'll probably try to live stream one on Blog Brothers and make it fancy-ish. Yeah, so that's the concept. I will try to live stream as many as I can. Because I know the tour sold out so quickly because we didn't anticipate the level of interest, that I know lots of people who wanted to go can't go. And then there's lots of people who don't live in the US or who don't live near, like the person who lives in Phoenix, like, who isn't able to go because I'm not coming to Phoenix, which is on me. I should have gone to Phoenix. Doing both at once might overwhelm the mods. Thank you for that, Jen. I will not do both at once. Good info. So I'm just signing my name over and over again now. Back to it. People ask about my shoulder and my wrist. My shoulder and my wrist don't hurt anymore. The doctor I talked to about this said, like, probably, not definitely, but probably, you will stop signing and your pain will go away within a few days. And that is exactly what happened. Like, there was like maybe 5 or 6 days between when these sheets came in and I stopped signing the American edition, and the pain went away completely. Went away completely. Just totally went away. Don't know what else to say about it. It was pretty incredible to witness because I was in a lot of pain. Courtney just gifted 10 John Green memberships. And Tori says, when will the New York City conversation partner be announced? Pretty soon. I know who it is. So it'll be pretty soon. But the conversation, it is a dream come true for me to be able to have a conversation with people like Atul Gawande, who headed up global health at USAID and is also one of my favorite writers. He wrote this beautiful book called Being Mortal, about death and the way that the healthcare system, especially in the United States, approaches death and how we might approach it better. He also wrote a classic, super important book in the history of medicine called The Checklist, that made the case that checklists, as they do for pilots in aircraft, can be very helpful for surgeons and other doctors. Jonathan says, thank you so much for getting us Marcus Brown. Come on, you Dons, we're going up. Well, Jonathan, you are also part of that story, as is every single member of this ridiculous channel. So thank you. But then I'm also talking with Ophelia Dahl, the co-founder of Partners in Health in Boston, which is fun. Can't wait to make the Atlanta leg with my girlfriend. We're driving from Nashville and making a weekend out of it. That's awesome. I hope you have fun in Atlanta. It's a great town. So is Nashville, by the way. Sarah went to Nashville twice in the last year, once for a girls' trip and once for a work thing. And she just loved it. And the last time I went to Nashville, I was like, good God, this has become a cool city. I'm also looking forward to going to Orlando later this month, which is another city that I grew up in Orlando. And when I grew up in it, it was sort of a sleepy, somewhat miserable place. And now it's become quite a cool town. My friends who still live there say that the food scene is good now and there's lots of stuff to do. And it's not just about Disney World. So I'm excited. So yeah, it should be really fun, interesting conversations with folks. There's some TB doctors who I'll be talking with in cities like Seattle. And there's also just people I like and know. Like, I think Sarah might be my conversation partner at one city. JD says Orlando was warm. Yes, I am looking forward to the warmth, if nothing else. I remember Orlando being sort of miserably hot 9 months out of the year, but you're also supposed to be uncomfortable and dissatisfied with your childhood home. So it suited me perfect. And then in Iowa City, I'll be speaking with the brilliant novelist Kaveh Akbar, who was a finalist for this year's National Book Award, and who's one of my favorite writers and also one of my favorite people, and who brings me hope in a broken world. Both his work and the way that he goes about his life brings me a tremendous amount of hope. And Kaveh's been there for me on some of my darkest days, and just really, really excited to be able to talk with him. He's also the smartest person I know. He knows thousands of words that I've never heard of. Zan just became a Womble enthusiast. We love to see it. Thank you, Zan. It's going to be a fun tour, is the long and short of it. I read his book from your recommendation, Lorena says, and I love it so much. I love it too, Lorena. His first book of poetry also is brilliant, Calling a Wolf a Wolf. It's gut-wrenching. And then he also wrote one of my favorite lines of all time in his, God, what is that poem called? It's a really long, gorgeous poem. And one of the last lines is, art is where what we survive survives. And the idea that we survive both through art, and art becomes where we place what we survive, and where what we survive survives. It's just such a beautiful line, and it's just gorgeous to me. Just saw your Kirkus starred review. Congrats, says Marie. Thank you. I'm thrilled with it. I was really, I will say privately, just among us, I think they actually took out the reference to OCD. I did not like the way they talked about OCD. But I thought the review was very good. And so it felt a little bit like being ungrateful to be like, I wouldn't say that this is a good use of my self-professed OCD getting obsessed with tuberculosis. I would say that there really is no upside to OCD. And the fact that I got obsessed with tuberculosis is just a happy coincidence. Marianne just became a Womble enthusiast. Thank you, Marianne. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, I was glad. I was grateful they took that out. That was nice of them. But yeah, I haven't gotten a starred review from Kirkus since The Fault in Our Stars, so I was pretty excited about it. I mean, I know what they meant, and like the hard thing about writing one of those book reviews. I mean, I used to write those. I used to write book reviews of similar length when I worked at Booklist. People in chat are worried about your shoulder and ankle. Oh, my shoulder's totally fine. It doesn't even hurt. I can't even feel it right now. My ankle does hurt because it's gonna hurt for a few weeks, but I'm doing okay. And signing doesn't make my ankle worse, only if my foot falls asleep. I understand how it happens because I used to write book reviews. You know, I wrote hundreds of 175-word book reviews when I worked at Booklist Magazine in my 20s, and it's really hard. You know, like that's a hard job. It's hard to summarize a book in 175 words and offer a critical analysis of it. Like that's, and so I understand how it happens. Like you're trying to squeeze in that, you know, the book is personal in the sense that it acknowledges the place of its author. And like I talk about having OCD in the book, and I talk about the connection between my own sort of fear of infectious disease, my own irrational fear of infectious disease, and the way that tuberculosis expresses itself in the world and the relationship between those two things. But I try really hard not to present it as I'm obsessed with tuberculosis because I have a fear of infectious disease. Gus just became a Womble enthusiast. Thank you, Gus Snarp. So I've tried to make it clear what it's about, but it's a hard job. So I always want to be sympathetic to reviewers, even reviewers who are ungenerous with my work, because it's a hard job. How's my injury? It's totally fine. It doesn't even hurt right now. I can't feel my wrist. I can't feel my shoulder. I feel completely fine. My ankle hurts and my foot hurts because I got the first ever signing related ankle injury in human history, but that's not made worse by signing. It's just, I'm just kind of hobbling around the house looking schleppy like I always do. And like kind of looking, I always feel like I'm the least put together thing in my home. Like I live in this lovely house with art curated by a noted American curator of contemporary art, and then I'm schlepping around in like my jacket and my sweatpants and my ankle socks, and I always feel a little ridiculous. Erie or Airy just became a Wimbly Wombly co-owner. Thank you so much, Airy or Erie. What months are best to travel to the UK for football? Well, I would say September through November and March through May. But John, you started to answer the green jug question at least 4 times and always change the subject. It's torture. The green jug contains little beads of water balls that are called gel blasters, and that are basically like, they're like, it's like the Nerf gun. It's like a Nerf gun on steroids. And it is used by teenagers to run around outside and shoot little gel balls at each other. So now I've answered the question. I'm sorry that I failed to answer it the previous 4 times. It's not a surprise. I'm constantly changing subjects because I look at chat and I'm like, oh, there's a new comment. I should respond to it. How is Potato? Oh, Potato's doing great. Potato's living the dream. So later today, I'll be signing. I'm signing now. That's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing at the moment. Later today, Stan will be over here and we'll be playing FIFA and celebrating Marcus Brown and trying to figure out how we're going to sign somebody who's a Marcus Brown equivalent. And what else are we going to be doing? I think that's it. We'll be chatting and playing FIFA, living the dream, talking about having signed a player for AFC Wimbledon, the unadulterated joy that is signing a player for AFC Wimbledon. Sophie says, I miss Leroy Williamson. Me too, but we now have John Johnny Johnson, the son of JJ, the son of AFC Wimbledon's longtime manager, other John Green. Hazmat83 says, no pressure or anything, but Marcus Brown is the greatest player that's ever lived. I agree. I mean, no pressure or anything, but he's my favorite footballer of all time. He replaced Roberto Firmino. So absolutely no pressure on him for the rest of this season. But
If he doesn't score 100 goals and send AFC Wimbledon up as champions, I'm going to be personally devastated. John just became a Wimbly Wombly co-owner. Thank you, John. Can one or more of us lucky UKers get a spiral? Sure, I added a spiral right here. Look at that. That's a good looking spiral too. Did that documentary ever get made about AFC Wimbledon? There was a short documentary made by Vice about AFC Wimbledon and me like 10 years ago. That's a great documentary. It's like 15 minutes long. As for like a documentary TV show about AFC Wimbledon, that is certainly something that I have tried to make happen a lot over the years and will continue to try to make happen. Can you please put that sheet aside for just me? I wish I could. I wish I could ensure that everybody in chat would get a spiral, and nobody outside of chat would get a spiral. That would be a way of paying you back for the loveliness that you've shown me over the last few months. But alas, these are copies of the UK edition of Everything is Tuberculosis. I'm signing 5,000 of them. They will be available in Waterstones throughout the UK and wherever else Waterstones are. And I am signing them because I promised I would, even though I ended up hurting my shoulder pretty badly. But my shoulder feels better right now, so I should be okay. And it's only 5,000, which I realize is a lot, but it's also not a lot because it's only like 8 or 9 or 10 hours of signing, which is not a big deal for me. I did 200 hours of signing for the other book. Do any other countries get signed copies? So if you order the English, I don't know is the short answer. I'm not signing any tip-in sheets for Germany or I don't even know if they have systems for tip-in sheets at my German publisher or my other foreign publishers or Brazil or whatever. But the important thing to me is that the book be available in as many countries as possible because, like, I just want to see it. I just want to see it reach readers, especially in places that have a high burden of tuberculosis, where there may not be as much awareness as there needs to be about the burden of TB. So, yeah. Will there be a documentary about Everything is TB? Probably not. I can't imagine Hollywood being very interested in this book, but I would certainly welcome that. And I would try to make it happen if somebody were interested. There are places that do documentaries that like expand on books. Like there was a documentary on being mortal that came out on PBS that was brilliant. And so it's possible. What amazing things do we need to know about our new player? Oh, Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown. You can check out his Wikipedia page because he has a Wikipedia page. He's 27 years old, came from the West Ham Academy, grew up in London, grew up playing for West Ham. I think he's eligible to play both for England and for Dominica, the Caribbean nation, as an international player. I don't know that he's ever played for the Dominica national team, but I think he's eligible for it. He is a central attacking midfielder, which means he plays toward the front, but not at the front. And he has a pretty good goal scoring record. So he's definitely somebody who can pitch in with a goal here and there, but I think of him more as a creative attacking midfielder, like a midfielder who in attack is the one delivering that key pass that allows one of the forwards to score. And he was playing last year. He played for Oxford United. He's played for Oxford United for 2 or 3 years. And last year he played for Oxford United. He did really well for them. He had a lot of injuries. He's struggled with injuries throughout his career. He's been quite unlucky. But played for Oxford United. And Oxford United got promoted from the 3rd division to the 2nd division. He was a beloved player there. All the Oxford United fans are really happy that Marcus has found a club again. And he did really well there, but because he struggled with injuries and whatnot, and because Oxford were promoted up to the 2nd tier of English football, he was released at the end of his contract. And he's been without a club ever since. So he's been trying to find the right opportunity and the right club for him. And I talked to him about that when we talked on Zoom, and he said it was really tough the last few months, like just being out of professional football, not knowing if or when he was going to be able to sign a contract with another professional team, not knowing like what his future looked like. I mean, he's only 27 years old. And so, he really sees this as an opportunity to prove to show what he can do and to prove his quality at our level, and to frankly, I think probably prove that he's above our level in quality, given that last year he played for a team at the top of League One and did very well there. And so I think that's what he's after. And then if we do our job and get promoted this season, maybe we can sign him for a second year. Yeah, he's really good, y'all. I mean, he's the real deal. So I'm pretty excited. Uh-oh. I bent some pages there in the back. I'm really excited to see him play. I think the earliest he could play is this weekend. I don't know what his fitness level is since he's been out of the professional game for so long. Like, I talked to him about that a little bit, and he said he worked really hard to stay fit during his time out of the game. But, that's different from having like game time in your legs, is at least what I've heard players say. So yeah, I'll jog when I'm done. I'll jog at the end. So we'll have some electro jogging in like 15 minutes. So I'm not with the American edition. I signed with Sharpies that were very specific. So I signed like green for the first 10,000, blue for the second 10,000, etc. So people could know when their books were signed. With the UK edition, I'm frankly just signing with whatever Sharpies are left over. So right now I'm signing with red because I have some leftover red. I also have some leftover purple and berry. I have one leftover green, one leftover blue. And I'm just trying to like squeeze out 5,000 more sheets from my existing Sharpie collection so that I can not buy more Sharpies. Sharpies are they're not expensive in the scheme of things, but when you buy them 200 at a time, it adds up. Will Wimbledon play this weekend, or will it be again canceled by frozen pitch is a great question. I don't know. Wimbledon tried to play on Saturday and the game was canceled by frozen pitch. But now I'm starting to think that maybe it's good that our games are getting canceled by frozen pitch, because it means that later in the season, usually AFC Wimbledon lose all their best players in the January transfer window. So for those who are not familiar with soccer, you can only sign players during certain periods of the season. You can sign them at the very beginning of the season until September 1st, and then you can sign them during 1 month in January. And you have to make all of your trades and moves and buyings and sellings in 1 month in January. And usually we have a pretty good first half of the season, and then bigger clubs come for our best players, and we don't have any way of keeping them on because we don't have much money, and we end up losing our best players. So, for example, Ayuba Saul, who is this brilliant winger who played for us, came up through our youth academy. He was incredible, and he went and signed for a team in Qatar and made a ton of money. And you can't deny a young player that opportunity because it's life-changing money for them. Another example is Ali Al-Hamidi, this wonderful striker we had, who we signed and played for us for a year. And then during the January transfer window last year, he moved on to Ipswich Town, which is now in the Premier League. And sometimes Ali Al-Hamidi plays in the Premier League. So obviously you can't deny a player an opportunity like that to go play in the top league of English football when they've been playing in League Two. So those are the times when you can sign a player. And traditionally, we've lost our best players in the January transfer window. This season, at least so far, we've been able to hold on to all of our best players. Now, some of that is because we don't have an Ali Al-Hamidi style superstar, but we do have some really good players. We have some players who are really, I think, playing above League Two level right now. And so far, we've been able to hold on to all of them. And instead of getting weaker like we usually do in January and having sort of a sputtering second half of the season, we've gotten slightly stronger in January. We've signed Sam Hutchinson to a permanent contract. He's a midfielder who plays for us and has been pretty quality. He's 35 years old, so he's not a young man, but he has been playing great. And then we've just signed, thanks to us, Marcus Brown, who is, I think, going to really strengthen our team. So maybe playing more games thanks to Frozen Pitch later in the season is good for us because maybe we'll be stronger. Now, other teams might also be stronger. They have, clubs like Salford City have super rich owners who can afford to just pile money into the club to try to get them promoted. So we're certainly not the only team that's getting stronger, but I don't know. We've been really good this season, and I'm not giving up hope on promotion. We haven't lost any players yet so far. We've had a couple players, young players, go out on loan, which is fine. They're expected to go out on loan because they're young and not yet ready to play at a League 2 level. But no, we haven't lost any players so far in the January transfer window. Now, there's still half of January to go. So, yeah. If you can't afford to buy Everything is Tuberculosis, don't worry at all. Please don't buy it. Check it out from your local library. You can always ask your local library if they're planning on pre-ordering it. And if they're not, you can encourage them to. I'm going to put a spiral there. And then check it out from your local library. That makes me super happy. Seeing people use their libraries and seeing my books in libraries is one of the great joys of being an author. Do you see yourself continuing to donate John's channel money like this? Yes. 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 It's all going to go to AFC Wimbledon's playing budget. And I love live streaming. I love the little community we have here. The vibes are immaculate. The mods are great. I'm loving this. So I'd like to do this for as long as it's fun and as long as it allows us to commit to this ridiculous bit. It's just nice to have I think it's super important for us as a community to be focused on big problems, like the problems we're going to focus on during the Project for Awesome and the problems we focus on throughout the year of maternal mortality and tuberculosis and doing things like Good.Store and the P4A and all that stuff. I think is super, the activism that Nerdfighteria does, all of that is super, super important. But it's also important to just be freaking stupid and silly sometimes, and so that's what I've hoped that this can be. Post just gifted a John Green membership. Thank you so much, Post, and congratulations to Laura who received that membership. All right, I'm almost done here, and when I finish this little stack, we're gonna jog, and then I'll be back at 1 o'clock to celebrate with Stan. Does Good.Store ship the tea and stuff overseas? We ship tea to Europe. We do not ship tea everywhere. There are a few reasons for this. One is that it's hard to ensure freshness. So coffee and tea now ship to Europe and Canada, but not to much of the rest of the world. And some of that is because of freshness, and some of that is because of customs laws about food and food-related items. Trillion just became a Wimbly Wombly co-owner. Thank you so much, Trillion. So we had to work pretty hard to get to a place where we could ship to Europe, and we did that. I'm really proud of the team for everything they did to make that possible. But truly global shipping is still a ways off for Good.Store because it's just super complicated for a company of our size. All right, we're down to like the last 30 here, maybe. Then we'll Electro jog. I haven't plugged in the old Electro jogger. I kind of thought that I was retiring it. Oh, this was such fun news to wake up to. It's the first time in a long time I've been excited to wake up at 6:15 in the morning. I was just so freaking excited and happy and like This kind of absurd bit commitment is what keeps me going, y'all. I have selected the random commenters to get ARCs, and I reached out to them. I haven't heard from one of them, but I heard from the other, so they'll get ARCs. Okay, maybe 10 more. How many more? 1, 2. These are the pages I really bent. Hopefully that's okay. 3, 4. This British paper is so different from the American paper. I thought it was 10, but it was only 6. All right, time to jog. All right, so what you'll see here is you'll see a bunch of British paper, which is thinner than the American paper. And you'll see that even though it jogs pretty well by hand, you'll see here there's some issues here. This isn't perfect. This isn't lining up like we wish it would. But wait till we get to the jogger. Hold on, I got to plug it in, and then I'm going to move you. I got to turn the light around. I got to plug in the jogger, and then I'm going to move you over. There we go. The jogger is plugged in with its plug from 1956, and then I'm going to spin you right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, round, round, right round. I think we did that. Have to move that. There's always more to do. This house is still very dirty. All right, there is my children's organic apple juice and Electro jogger. Okay. All right, there's the Electro jogger in all of its glory. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put these sheets into the Electro jogger. You can see they're extremely disorganized, but then the Electro jogger gets a hold of them. And would you look at that? 5 seconds later, it's absolutely perfect. It's utterly ideal. And we're going to do one more stack. Joggity, 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 and it's perfect. I love Electro jogger. It solves all my problems. The world is full of disorder and chaos and misery, and an Electro jogger makes things perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to all of our members, to all of the super chatters, to everybody in chat, just making the vibes good. Wow. Huzzah. Huzzah. I'm just very grateful and excited. All right. I'll see you at 1 o'clock. DFTBA.